All right. Let's bring that music down a little bit. And let's fix our screen. And let's check our volume. Check our volume. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. All right, we'll leave it like that. Bring that down. And let's see. What do I need to do here? Microphone seems to be fairly in place. Let's tilt that up just a smidge to lock it in. And hey, we're going to do some Spelljammer D&D design today for 5th edition. We have successfully updated the 2024 document, so that is now on the DMsGUild. The link is down below. We'll be looking at that today probably. If you're new to the channel, what's going on? My name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games. I illustrate them. I publish them online. If you find this stuff to be cool, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications when we're live in the future. The Spelljammer Combat Exploration book that has been updated on the DMsGUild, here it is. And if you were to click the preview button, it will pop open the entire 107-page document for you to be able to explore. We're going to be working here in the, ironically, in the exploration chapter today. And so if you click this icon, it takes you to the exploration chapter here. And if we scroll down, what we're probably going to be using most today is the object size and hit points table for scaling up creatures from the 5 foot, 50 foot, 500 foot. We probably don't need to go beyond 500 foot for practical games, but if we're creating things like planets and stuff, 1 mile, 10 miles, 100 miles, blah, 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 showing the amount of hit points that they have as they stack up. Sorry, to finish my intro, I create I create games in D&D, and then I make all the artwork for the books that I publish. So on Mondays and Thursday nights like this, I'll do game design stuff, and then Monday through Friday in the mornings, I do artwork for those books. And once the writing, the mechanics, and the layouts are done, we start doing the artwork in the mornings. And once all that artwork is done, we publish the book. And then we pick up one of the other books that we've been working on in the evenings. That becomes our Monday morning art project. So we're coming very close to the end of an Eberron adventure that we've been working on here on stream for 2 years. And it's had a ton of artwork. It's been amazing to work on, but I can feel the energy that book is just about ready to go. I'm going to be generous and say that it'll publish in December. I think that's highly realistic. We only have like maybe 8 some odd illustrations to go, and I work on those in the evenings off stream as well as in the mornings. So you see a good chunk of the work that I do from piece to piece as we go through the process. But we're further developing these combat and exploration mechanics to integrate Kaiju and Constructs, which will be the name of the next book. Probably, well, we have 2 new supplements that we're publishing, Spelljammer Subclasses, that use the mechanics in the combat and exploration document to create new ways for characters to interact with the world in the 5e game engine. And the Spelljammer Subclasses take class features to lean into those changes in mechanics that are available for use in this Spelljammer document. And that will also be 100% free preview, of course, because I want you to read the thing and then decide to buy them because you want me to make more stuff. I don't want you to have to hit a paywall to find out if my stuff is good or not. That just hurts. And plus, if I make all of my documents 100% free preview for you guys to view here online, I can easily reference them on my Patreon channel, which is linked down below, in my Discord community, which is linked down below, and you're welcome to both. If you want to chip in $1 instead of buying my books, having you on board for a $1 membership, if you stick around long enough, it will end up actually benefiting both of us. So thanks a lot for that. Discord is free. But if I make all this content 100% free to view, you guys can tag along and see where I'm going with these things. So Subclass is one book, and then the Kaiju and Constructs book. Constructs and Kaiju? I think Kaiju and... I don't know, Constructs and Kaiju. I'm still working on the title, but it's going to have Kaiju and it's going to have Constructs in it. But that is a... Since with this... Just to rewind real quick here for you guys. The way that this system works is... we have fighter craft, which are up to 50 feet in size, and then vessels, which are up to 500 feet in size. And like the Hammerhead ship and the Squid ship are the two largest ships that they have in Spelljammer's Adventures in Space, and they're only 250 feet in length. But the major spelljamming helms that we have in here are capable of animating up to 500-foot objects. So this is just a sampling of practical ships that they had in the book based on the stuff that was in existence back in 1989 in 2nd edition. And this was just revitalizing that and updating it, quote unquote, updating it for what rules they had built for this in 5th edition, which are the main complaint is that those changes are scarce and very shallow. So we built this 107-page book to add depth to both Spelljammer ship combat and exploration using the rules of 5e that we already know to add tactical depth to the game, sort of like characters being ships and those ships being on a grid, like a 500-foot or for fightercraft, 50-foot grids, same as kind of like in a dungeon or like an exploration mission. You can navigate these ships around using your normal character's movement, actions, bonus actions, reactions, object interactions to cast spells through your ship at amplified scales, and of course to have siege weapons on the back of your ship to be sending out for your whole team to work together to attack threats. And as presented, the main threats that are in this book are other ships, but I want to expand on that, and some of the videos that I've already done in my produced videos list here on my channel. There's a Mega Kaiju, a Wild Space Titan, a Kaiju, Mega Kaiju, that's it. And it's 1,500 feet in size. And we built out the mechanics for how that creature would appear, like how would it engage and operate in a 5e game setting. So the combat that we've built for this system is at the 5-foot scale, where you'd have creatures on deck of a ship. The 50-foot scale, which is like the melee combat range. So a ship's size, like this hammerhead ship, it occupies a 5x5 space. It can hit targets just like in normal D&D combat, targets up to 250 feet away. This fighter craft here is a warbird, and it's only 50 feet in size, so its melee reach is only 50 feet. But here at the 500-foot scale, neither one of these ships can actually engage in combat at the 500 in melee combat at the 500-foot scale, but that's why you have all the siege weapons and mounted weapons like harpoon flingers and eldritch cannons, ballista, catapults, trebuchet, gift cannons, bombardiers, bombards. Thank you. These are all different types of medieval siege weapons that your team can operate with their action economy to lead crews of NPCs to attack other ships. And now we're building out mechanics for the kaiju. So a 1,500-foot kaiju, like a mega kraken, would occupy a 3x3 space at the 500-foot scale, or what would be 30 by 30 squares at the 50-foot scale, or 300 by 300 squares at the 5-foot scale. So by scaling out, we can have larger creatures. We just needed to build a system that would allow us to scale damage up from the 5-foot to 50-foot to the 500-foot scale, and for characters, fightercraft, and vessels to all be able to interact with each other using the same 5e mechanics, just scaling up hit points, damage, and targeting and stuff by the size of the ship, or whether you're targeting a smaller creature or the same size craft, or however it is that whatever you're engaging with is going to affect how powerful your current mode is. Like if you're trying to fight a 1,500-foot kraken at the 5-foot scale with your characters, you're probably going to want to try to run up and bap it in the eye, which is something that I talk about in the video, because its eye is only 30 feet in size. So it occupies a 50-foot space in that 1,500-foot area, but it's a size that characters in the 5-foot scale can actually engage and damage it. A character with a sword isn't going to do much to a 1,500-foot kraken, but you can make its eye bleed if you stab it. If you can get right up into its face and start poking its eye, yeah, you could cause trouble, but you got to get there, which is what your fighter craft are for. But we want to design, we want to be able to create a solid rule system for these mega kaiju, like these super, anything from 50 feet to 5,000, like 50 feet to 5,000 feet in size, basically, is what we're looking at, the scale that we want these creatures to be able to operate inside of, and then be able to convert these ships. Because as you can see here, all these ships that are designed, they're all animals of some sort. They're insects and fish and birds. Sometimes they're just regular boats, like the really mundane ones are just normal boats. But you can see that these things are all basically mechanical creatures that when you helm the pilot, you basically animate it as though you're wild-shaped. The pilot is effectively wild-shaped into this machine that you're operating. And so for us to be able to evolve from the Spelljammer ships into the mecha war golem frame of mind, all we really have to do is take these fighter craft and vessels and give them humanoid forms so that they can pick up weapons and armor and shields and go attack giant-sized creatures at the 50 or 500 foot scale, just like you would at the 5 foot scale. It's kind of like Titanfall in that sense, where your characters, normal 5e characters, are running around on the 5 foot grid in cities and dungeons and environments. And when you come across your mecha, maybe your mecha is 50 feet or 40 feet in size, maybe, or maybe it's 100. It depends on what kind of scale you want to play in. But once you're in range of your golem, you can then pilot that golem the same as you can pilot a fighter craft. And this system is designed for each character to be able to operate their own fighter craft independently or as a group. So we've already been working on developing the golem mechanics based off of and basically just cribbing this fighter craft system that we had already built that works really well, and just giving them equipment in a humanoid form to run around. Otherwise, it's still just a spelljamming ship. But the kaiju are different because they're actual creatures. So when we were down here in the exploration chapter, and we're looking at materials and hit points at larger size, we have this category here for hollow. And hollow refers to thin material objects like ships, also most creatures. So creatures scale at the 550, like a CR half creature. It's going to have about 10 hit points. At the 50-foot scale, fighter craft have 100 hit points, or vessels have 100 hit points for every 50-foot square that they occupy. So like a 200-foot Starmoth has 400 hit points. That's about on par with what's in the Spelljammer's Adventures in Space book. That's how much damage these vessels have in Spelljammer. And so if you're fighting creatures like a tentacles that can do 60 points of damage, that's like doing 6 points of damage to something that has 40 hit points. That's like fighting a Grick at 6th level. It's a decent fight, and so that's what we're doing. We want to take that Grick, and we want to make it 50 feet or 500 feet in size, and see what kind of a threat and terror it can be in the world and the environment around it. So we want to be able to build a skilling system for that. So if you are tagging along with me here on stream, welcome to the mix, people. And here is the current playtest. You can see here's the Kaiju and Constructs work in progress. So you click on that and it says Monsters and Machines. I'm going to change that to new working title, Kaiju and Constructs. So we've already, and it'll be read only for you guys, but you can read it. So, and it's far from the final version. Obviously, we're going to end up writing it all out and doing layouts and doing artwork for it and all that other stuff. It'll eventually evolve. But if you want to tag along, here's the rules. And if you want to play test, my Discord server is linked down below as well. We're going to be doing some Spelljammer Mega Kaiju Construct Combat. So kicking down here, character options, leaning into the Warforged idea of a species. Instead of Warforged mean a specific species, we look at docents as a species, and a docent is the little AI gem that you can plug into Warforged to give them new abilities or information. But with this system, a docent is an AI that you can just plug into any Titan mecha construct, and it then animates that suit or that frame as though that docent was a spellcaster in the helm of a spelljamming ship. So Warforged in this system are just medium-sized warframes that you plug a docent's intellect into. It then animates that suit. So you can make a wide variety of different body chassis for Warforged that you can drop docents into, like quadrupeds, mechanical Grick, whatever it is that you can imagine, humanoids, obviously, whatever you want to do. But you can also scale them up to hundreds of feet in size, like the Warforged Titans that existed at the tail end of the last war. These giant, colossal mechanical frames that required docents to operate it with the pilot. So with this system, the docent is the pilot, and the more NPCs or characters in the party that you have plugged into the circuitry with it, the more action economy that Titan has during a round of combat. Or all of the characters operate their own constructs, whether docents that they plug into, or like sitting in a pilot seat like a gnome or a dwarf or an elf or whatever, strapping in, dropping in the cockpit. Now I'm in a 50-foot Gyre Evangelion sort of thing. Like in the most recent Doom video game, it had the massive Titan-sized brute suit that he fought massive-sized demons in at the 500-foot scale. It was probably actually maybe 100 it was maybe like 100 feet tall, so that'd still be at the 50-foot scale. But like that suit would have been, or that mecha would have been, a 2x2 space at the 50-foot scale, and then you would be operating on a grid of 50-foot squares. So you could be fighting creatures anywhere from 50 feet up to 100 feet in size. Though practical, it would be like maybe like 25, like it'd be like maybe 250 feet. A 5x5 is probably the largest you want to work with until you start upscaling again. You can, but it gets clumsy on a map. So if you're operating in something that's larger than 250 feet, you may as well just upgrade to the 500-foot scale and consider yourself tiny or small at the 500-foot scale. And it still operates the same. It's just 500-foot squares instead of 50-foot squares. So which would go into deep detail into the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration document, which again you are totally welcome to tag along with. I'm going to use the actual document itself that I created, since I have it on my hard drive. It's good to go, but you are certainly welcome to check out the free preview that I linked down below. So let's collapse this a little bit here. And okay, so the initial idea is that if I had an ogre, and I took that ogre and I put it at the 50-foot scale, instead of being a 10-foot space that it would occupy, it would instead occupy a 100-foot space. And at the 50-foot scale, you get 100 hit points for each square of space that you occupy. So a 50-foot creature would have 100 hit points. A 100-foot creature would have 200 hit points. Just like the Star Moth is 200 feet long, it has 400 hit points. At the 500-foot scale, for every 500 feet occupied, it has 1,000 hit points, unless it's a hybrid material. So hybrid material is thick structures and unusually dense creatures, like impenetrable skin, or like an elemental, like an earth elemental creature, or an animated block of iron. Who knows? But that would be considered heavy material, solid material. Which would be 20,000 hit points at the 50-foot scale. It says here, a 5-foot area of stone is described in Wall of Stone spell as having 30 hit points per inch of thickness, which is approximately 2,000 hit points per 5-foot cube. So that's where this heavy material cost is coming from at the 5-foot scale: 2,000, 20,000, 200,000, and then we start getting up into the Death Star area of size of stuff, 100 miles, 1,000 miles. This is the scale of Earth, for instance, because Earth is 8,000 miles in diameter. So it occupies an 8x8 space at the 1,000-mile scale, but it could also easily fit as a medium-sized planet inside of a 10,000-foot square. It'd be 8,000 feet inside of a 10,000-foot square, you see. So you could work between those two scales depending on how you need to operate and what you want to depict. Like if you wanted to break down regions and continents on a planet, operating at the 100 miles, at the 1,000 mile scale, which allow you to basically make a 9x9 grid, or maybe an 8x8 grid at the 1,000 mile scale and be able to show half the planet, and then another 8x8 grid could show the other half of the planet. But you could easily put continents in at that scale, and then when you zoom into that continent, you'd probably drop to the 100 miles scale to be able to break up that continent into like a 10x10 grid, or different regions of 10x10 at the 100 miles. So each square would be 1,000 miles broken into a 10x10 grid at the 100 mile scale. So you can zoom in and out of planets in creation that way, which is useful if you're doing world building and care about that sort of stuff. But for hit point, but that's like solid stone material that we're talking about, right? So it's got billions, literally billions of hit points of solid earth that you would have to destroy. Meanwhile, if you're doing like, say, 100 points of damage in a 50-foot area, that would be enough to hollow is thin material objects like ships. Like that would be a building, like a normal building. A 50-foot building, you could completely destroy it with 100 hit points. It would have damage reduction, like if it was made of stone, it would have a 20 hit point damage reduction to it. But if you deal 100 points of damage to that structure, it's going to collapse. So that's generally how that works. So using that same idea, creatures have that same scale. So if we're working on an ogre, let's go look up an ogre, actually, since we're in this conversation. Ogre. You know what else I want to do? I want to go back and look at the 2014 DMG ogre, because I want to see how hit points scale with the CR. Sources, tools, sources. View all. Thank you. Let's go to the old DMG because it had a table for calculating CR based on damage and hit points. So let's see if we can find that real quick. Creating a monster. While that loads, let's go look at an ogre. And we're going to kick into our... let me drop that down there. We're going to kick into our book. Monsters and Kaiju and Constructs, that's right. So let's drop down here. Yeah, that's our table. Already look. Okay, so Mega Kaiju. Very good. So let's go with ogre. I'm gonna grab this. I'm gonna grab this and pluck it out as a separate document so I can look at the ogre over here. Ogre is CR2, right? Ogre CR2. Let's see. Attack, melee attack, ranged attack, +6. Why does it say reach 5 feet for a large-sized creature? Does that seem weird to you? Let's go look at a Merilith real quick. Merilith. Merilith is large. It has a 10-foot reach with its blade. Huh. Why is ogre listed with only a 5-foot range? Let's go look at the legacy ogre. Reach 5 feet. I don't understand. That's weird. That's really weird to me. All right, we're gonna ignore that. If it's a 100-foot CR2, 2 by 2, 5-foot scale. Saving throws we don't have to worry about. Hit points, armor class we don't have to worry about. Attack modifiers we don't have to worry about. The only thing we have to worry about is hit points and damage. So HP, 68. 8d10 plus 24. Melee attack is plus 6 equals 2d8 plus 4 equals 2d6 plus 4. So that's using the basic rule of large-sized creatures roll 2 dice. One-sized creature rolls 1 die. 2 hit die. A large-sized creature is going to roll 2 dice. It's also CR2, so that's appropriate for its size as well. So what we want to do is we want to compare this ogre 5-foot scale, and we want to compare that to ogre 50-foot scale and see how this looks. It's really basic. Well, first off, we don't know what its CR is going to be yet. That's what we need to figure out. 2x2 50-foot scale. Hit points is going to be 268. Has 200 plus 8d10 plus 24. 200 because it occupies 2 squares at the 50-foot scale, and then its normal hit point. So it has 268 hit points. It's a 100-foot size ogre. We'll do this for all sorts of creatures as we go along. We'll do many examples of different size creatures. We're just going with a very basic ogre because it's easy. It's just easy, and there it is. But we'll make kaiju. Go through the monster manual and look at any creatures that you want, and we'll have a basic frame, like a template, like a 3rd edition template for converting these creatures into kaiju at the 50-foot scale, 500-foot scale, and that's all we'll work with. But the rules are already there for 1 mile, 10 mile, 100 mile, 1,000 mile, blah 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 blah. As large as like the world turtles that are on the back, the 4 elephants on the back of the turtle that carries the world. Like, we can calculate the number of hit points and damage that those type of creatures would do if you were going to engage with something at that colossal scale. But for all practical purposes, we don't really need to operate beyond the 50 and 500-foot scale. So again, in the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration document that we published, and that is located right here. It has a 100% free preview again. What you can click on here, which will take you to the actual book that I'm working inside of right now. You can see all those mechanics, and this is that scaling table. So a typical CR half creature at the 5-foot scale is going to have about 10 hit points. A 50-foot creature is going to probably have around 500 hit points. So if it's a 100-foot creature, it gets 100 times 2 because of the space it occupies. So that takes us to 200 hit points plus whatever its basic rules are, or its basic stats. That's a fast, easy way for us to be able to scale up creatures to these colossal sizes. So, but we have to make sure it works, and we have to figure out the CR for these things. Because like if you run across a 100-foot ogre that has 268 hit points and can do, let's see, melee attack, it's still just going to be a +6. The attack damage and armor class, the attacks, armor class, and saving throws and skill checks for colossal size combat and exploration. It's exactly the same at the 5-foot scale, except that there's rules about, like, depending on what scale you're on, is going to be able to, like, you can't, like, if I'm 50 feet in size and I'm attacking something at the 500-foot size, I can't effectively grapple it. It's too big. No more than my 5-foot character could grapple the Tarrasque. I can't just pick him up and suplex him. If I were to grapple him, I'm basically holding him. So we have to make these We have all these rules about scaling mechanics, like how do you grapple at different scales? How do you engage? Like how would a ballista engage an attack? Something that's 5 feet hiding behind barrels on the deck of a ship, like you have cover, so you can't effectively attack that with siege weapons. And to that point, like at the 500-foot scale, if there's a monster at the 500-foot scale, it's so massive that it doesn't attack you at the 5-foot scale. It just basically swats its hand or whatever, and you make a dexterity saving throw to prevent damage. So when you're combating things that are two scales larger in magnitude than you aren't actually fighting those creatures anymore. You're just trying to not get killed by it while you look for a weak spot. So we'll be building weak spot mechanics in here, that if you can get to that point at the 5-foot scale, you can start doing damage to blind or addle or confuse or frighten, and to chase, and you won't probably be able to kill it, but if you hit these soft spots, you can deal conditions onto the creature so that it might be deterred and have its morale break to want to leave because it's blinded, it's frightened, and it's slowed. So it's like, this sucks, I don't want to fight anymore, and it's just going to want to crawl away. So like, that's at the 5-foot scale, that's kind of all you can really do against kaiju. You can't really kill them, you can just try to chase them off. But once you get to the 50 and the 500-foot scale, if you're dealing with 50 and 500-foot creatures, at the 5-foot scale, you can physically engage with something at the 50-foot scale. Just like a kaiju is, the Tarrasque is 50 feet by 70 feet. So that is technically occupying a 2x2 space at the 50-foot scale. While your character's of 5 feet, you can fight that Tarrasque. Similarly, a 50-foot mecha could fight a creature at the 500-foot scale. It's going to be incredibly dangerous, but you can do it. Arguably, you would want to fight it with something at the 500-foot scale, either super big titans or fleets of ships, like 4 or 5 hammerhead ships, or like 3 or 4 nauticals, or a bunch of star moths, or night spiders, things like ships that have physical melee weapons as well as siege weapons that you can attack these creatures with enough damage to make a difference. So these are things that need to be contemplated. So right now we're looking at, we had contemplated previously scaling weapon damage. Since we're seeing that ogre is dealing 2 dice of damage with its hammer, right? That's effectively because it's size large, so it's dealing larger amounts of damage with extra dice. Its CR2 reflects that. But let's go up here to the front end of the document. There should be scaling damage up here. Here we go. Spelljammer Combat and Exploration. Warforged Machines. So if we're dealing with, like at the 50-foot scale, 100 feet, its hammer, instead of doing 2d8 damage plus 6, no, it's 2d8 plus 4. Instead of doing 2d8 plus 4, it would be doing, since it's CR2, that would give it a d6. So it would be d6 times 10 damage that it deals. We're also looking at, this is the Spelljammer Combat Exploration scaling for siege weapons in general, like the melee weapons on fightercraft and vessels in Spelljammer. This is the scale of damage that they deal. But I was looking at curving out, like smoothing out that curve for what will be now called Kaiju and Constructs. So we're looking at like if you're like the ogre is using a club, which is a d8. At its 10-foot size, it's doing 2d8 damage. At 20 feet, it'd be 3. Technically, the DMG says it's 2dx, 3dx, 4dx, 5d, but it doesn't go. The DMG doesn't go, or Monster Manual doesn't go beyond 20. So it has 1d, 2d, 3d, 4d, but it doesn't keep stacking up dice of damage with larger scale because the core mechanics of D&D don't deal with scale like we do in Spelljammer. So I wanted to modify the table to kind of curve out, to smooth out that curve. So 1, 2, and then 3 at 20, and then 4 at 40, and then 5 at 50. Maybe it would have been better to do, maybe it's better to do it like this, 3dx, and then 4d. Oh yeah, I actually like this better. 1dx, 2dx, 3dx. I could do 4dx, just like the monster manual here, and then have a skip from 20 feet to 50 feet, be 5dx, but like this is double the size. That's significant. This is triple the size of that. That's significant. 4 or 6 times the size isn't nearly as significant. So I figure 4dx here at 30 feet feels good. And then 50 feet, it's 5dx. So this is set damage regardless of what kind of like a weapon, because they only have like spear legs and chomping claws and grappling claws and tentacles to squish with, or battering rams. They only have, they're all basically the same kind of weapon, just deals different types of damage. So that's why the damage scale remains consistent here for siege weapons and the basic ships. But with this Kaiju Construct system, the constructs are basically able to pick up colossal sized weapons. And if you're using a weapon that's the wrong size, then you're at disadvantage. So if you're using a 40-foot mecha, you could use a 30-foot hammer with it, and it will only do 40x damage, but it's going to be the wrong size. So you would be disadvantaged unless, I guess, you take a feat that makes you proficient with using off-size weapons, in which case it would just deal their normal damage. But this is, so a 40-foot mecha would spend like on a this is the longsword cost, right? So a longsword does d8. You'd be doing 4d8 damage plus stats with that longsword with this system, and it will cost you 960 gold to be able to forge that. So if you're using, so in the playtesting that we're going to run, we're going to have a floating dwarven citadel as our home base. And XCOM 2 style, I'm going to be building this in the evenings on Mondays and Thursdays coming up. So if you want to watch me design a campaign for Spelljammer using these mecha combat mechanics and the Bastion campaign system that I developed, stick around because we're going to be doing all that. But and we'll probably be doing that maybe like in a week or two, maybe this Thursday. It's soon. I feel it. It's very soon, and that's where I want to go. I want to start building this campaign so I can play test it on my Discord server. That's linked down below if you want to participate. You're welcome to do so. But you'll have a floating citadel, a dwarven citadel, that is both your bastion and your fortress, and your XCOM style. There's going to be a number of asteroid communities that are all farming and mining and building up their communities and living life in wild space that are going to get attacked by kaiju and pirates and raiders and slavers. On occasion, every bastion turn will roll new events to see what sort of hostilities are in the area that are harassing your communities. And then XCOM style, you choose which community you want to go and defend first, and that becomes your mission. We'll then deploy mecha from the dwarven citadel to attack to combat the kaiju that are attacking the city. Meanwhile, the dwarven citadel is capable of doing all, like, gathering up materials in its bay, like in its cargo bays, and transporting material to another island. So it's not only the major fortification and sheriff structure in this community, but it's also the trade wagon. So you're always basically on an escort mission from one area to another to deliver goods. Even though there's kaiju attacking over there, well, we can delay these goods being delivered to go deploy troops over at that kaiju, or we stay here and defend and do our deployment like we're supposed to, and that kaiju situation is just going to get worse. Or then you can start spending bastion points to build up facilities and structure defenses around each community so that it can defend itself if you can't get to it right away, or at least hold it off the whole time for you to get there. So it's an XCOM style game, using basically randomly generated events on a week-to-week basis, and each week, quote-unquote week, would be an adventure that your team goes out to defend your communities, get resources as a result of it, to improve your dwarven citadel, to improve your mecha, or to improve fortifications and resources and facilities, bastion style, at the different communities that you're overseeing. So you're working multiple points of resources to improve yourself or your community sectors all at the same time while your characters are also leveling up. And the more your character levels up, the more powerful of a pilot they become to be able to take on larger challenges, right? So that's the theme, and we're going to build that here on stream with you guys. So I'm really looking forward to doing that, and I might start doing that on Thursday. We'll see what I'm in the mood for. But a 100 foot ogre is going to be doing 60x damage. So 60x plus 6. The 6 really makes a difference, right? Where am I at? Here I am. Yeah, I also want to do some of the adventures, some of the scenarios in Bigby's Glory of the Giants. I want us to be in 20 or 30 foot warframes, basically taking on the giants, so we can like have 50 foot fire giants, or just have like the normal 30 foot, 15 foot fire giants. We can take like third level characters and put them in 15 foot warframes and have them fight the giants at the same scale as they are. So we like have 20 foot squares instead of 5 foot squares on the map, and like go fight cloud giants at the 20 foot scale, take our 15 foot mecha and just start punching up at them. Or we could blow out and make these giants like actually like massive giants, like 50 foot, 100 foot, any size that we want, right? So, and then, yeah, so notes to take, things that we're doing. So melee attack is +6. We now know it's going to be 68 plus 4 damage, and this is going to be 66 plus 4 damage, which on average is going to be 31 damage per hit on average. And this one's going to be 6 times 3 is 18, plus 3 is 21, 25 points of damage. There we go. On average, 25 points of damage here. On average, 31 points per damage per hammer hit. And it has 268 hit points. Let's go look at the 2014 Dungeon Master's Guide Creating a Monster. And let's look at the scaling stats. So set a CR2. It's armor class, whatever. Armor class is, it's going to be whatever to whatever. Who cares? Hit points is going to be 86 to 100. Ogres are a little shy on the hit points. Damage per round is 15 to 20. We're at 13 and 11 here. CR2. So its hit points are low and its damage is low, but its size large. So I think that's why they gave it to it. Adjusting statistics, raise or lower the monster's armor class, hit points, attack bonus, damage output per round, and same DCs as you see fit, based on whatever concept you have in mind for the monster. Yeah, I think they pushed up because like an ogre should be CR1 according to this, right? Yeah, I mean, technically half hit points, a CR half of 50 to 70 hit points. That's where the ogre is at. And its damage is at 9 to 14. So technically an ogre is CR1, except that it's large. It's supposed to have a 10-foot reach. I think that's why they're giving it the boost. And its attack bonus is higher as well. I think that's why they took it to 2. Attack bonus +3. Our attack bonus is 6. Yeah, I think that's why they scaled down the hit points and the damage. There's no set rules on how they build creatures in 5e24 and 514. There's no rules at all in 5e24. It's just take what we gave you and modify it and to build out something else, which is actually really effective. It sounds trite and dismissive, but there's so many fucking monsters in the monster manual that it kind of works. So you just find similar damage and similar hit points and similar armor class. Just find similarities and swap it around as you need. That honestly, that's pretty good DM advice. Like, that's the advice that I would give. Give something and just crib off of it and just work off of what you already know is acceptable at the CR that you're operating at, and just riff off of it and make up stuff. But so now I want to look at 268 hit points and 31 damage. So 31 damage is around here at damage per round. I'm wondering if they're taking into account the 65% miss rate. Like, that would put us like around 10 hit points, right? It's also in the 1 point range. Yeah, I think they just leveled that up. Interesting. Okay, so we're looking at 31 to 25 points of damage. That's going to put us around CR 4 or 5. The hit points that we have, 268. That takes us up into CR 13. I was wondering if when we build this out, if we wouldn't see just basically plus 10 to the CR at each scale that we're operating at. An ogre at the 500-foot scale. CR, we don't know yet, but it's 2 by 2 at the 500-foot scale. Its hit points would be 2,068. 2,000 plus 8d10 plus 24. Melee attack, it's still going to be melee attack plus 6 equals 50 feet. Oh, it's hold on. I'm gonna scroll up. $500 feet's 10dx, so that's 1dx times 10. So it'd be 2dx times 10 damage at the 1,000 foot scale. Thank you. 2dx times 10. $2d8 times 10 plus 4, which is going to average 84 damage. 94 damage. Thank you. And the ranged attack plus 6 still equals 2d6 times 10 plus 4 equals 74. Oh, I'm sad to see that it drop down to the next line. Oh, stinker. Let's start misspelling stuff. There we go. Ranged attack. So this would be 74 points of damage or 94 points of damage. So 94 points of damage on average. 94 damage on average is CR 15. Its hit point capacity goes just off the table. So, but its damage is 94. That's 15. So this is CR2. If we're just going by damage, 31 damage is going to put us at CR4. And 94 damage is going to put us at CR 15. Let's see. because hit points just go off the table. But if you're fighting something at the 500-foot scale, you're going to be using siege weapons and fleets and squadron stuff if you aren't actually using a creature of a mecha or whatever of the same scale. So that's Ogre 2, 4, and 15. I don't see any obvious pattern there. What if 2 times 2 times 2 to the 4th? I think we need more evidence, but there might not be a set simple scaling method. But let's see if we can find one. So let's pick another creature. Let's go with a Sturge. That's fun. CR 1/8. Thank you. CR and CR 1/1. Okay, so we go with HP. And attack. Damage. Let's just put damage. Just simplify it. Base hit points is 5. 2d4. The 1/1 scale at the 50 foot is going to be 105. 100 plus 2d4. And at the 500 foot scale, it's going to be 1005, which is 100 plus 2d4. 1000 plus 2d4, thank you. And now let's look at its damage. Plus 5 to hit, that doesn't really matter. 6, 1d6 plus 3. 6, 1d6 plus 3. At this scale, it's going to be 5d6 plus 3, which is going to be 15, 16, 17, 20. 20 damage. And at this scale, at the 500 foot scale, it is 1d6 times 10. Plus 3. Which is going to be 33 damage. So we started with 1/8, and now we're at damage 20. So what does damage 20 give us? Damage 20 is going to be around CR2, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 steps up. At this scale, this was 2 steps. CR15 was 13 steps. And 105 hit points is also, that's CR2, CR3, CR2, CR3. 2 steps here, 4 steps here. Let's look at, we know the hit points goes off the table, so damage is the only thing we can really rely on. And that just takes us to 5. Which is just 5 steps. 2 steps, 4 steps, 13 steps, 5 steps. Oh, that is not very consistent. Takes 5 plus 5, 2d4. That's actually relevant. Plus 5, 2d4. Plus 5d4. That's 12. Plus 12, 5d4, 20, 1d4 times 10. There. So that pushes us to 32 damage. Which is CR4. Still sits. And damage is 55 now. And that takes us to CR8. Which is 8 steps up. 4th, half, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. That's 6 steps. What? That doesn't make any sense. Fourth set, half, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. That takes us up 10 steps. That seems a little bit better. 10 to 13, 2 to 4. Let's do a slew more of these, just to see how. You see how we're trying to figure out like what's the average number of steps that we have to push up the creature to get to the damage that they can do at their larger scale. That's the process that we're grinding through here right now. That's the reason for this madness. So let's look at let's grab another random critter. Let's go with Quaddle. Okay, let's do a. I couldn't find Quaddle. Let's do Grick. I've been talking about Gricks. Let's do Grick. Okay, we're gonna go Grick. 5 foot. Grick 50 foot. Grick 500 foot. CR starts off with 2. CR. And then HP. Damage. Hit points for a Grick is 54, which is 12d8. Jesus, that's a lot of hit dice. 12d8. That's so many hit dice. Okay, fair enough. 54, and then at this scale, a Grick is it large? No, it's medium. So it will be 50-foot scale. So that's going to put us at, hey, what's going on, Steve? It's good to see you, my guy. Hit points is 154. 154, which is 100 hit points plus 12d8. And then hit points here will be 1054. 1000 plus 12d8. Terrifying. then the damage is going to be, we're going to make 1 beak attack and 1 tentacle attack. So 2d6, 9, it's 9, 2d6 plus 3, right? Steve, the Spelljammer book 2024 has been updated on DMsGUild. I got all the work done over the weekend and redid some of the illustrations, and it's good to go. So 2024 rules are active, which means we can build out the Kaiju Constructs book, and we can build out the Spelljammer Subclasses book. There's nothing really getting in the way, other than the fact that I want to playtest the Kaiju and Constructs book before we publish it. The Spelljammer Subclasses I know are good. Now I can actually start work on those pretty much any time. But I want to start building out. The XCOM Spelljammer campaign first before I get into actually doing that. So, for the next, probably after tonight, and for the next few weeks, we're going to start building out the actual campaign setting for our Wild Space, our Wild Storm King's Thunder, Wild Storm King's Thunder. Yeah, there you go. Storm King's Thunder in Spelljammer, like we've been talking about off and on over the past 6 months. Multi-attack, get 2 attacks, so it's plus 2. 2d6 plus 2. 6, 7, 8, 9, right. And its second damage. Welcome to folks that are tagging in. D10 plus 2, 7. What is that? 1d10 plus 2. Thank you. So if we're going to upscale this, plus, at the 50-foot scale, it is 5. Oh, wow. Interesting. This is a 2d6, so that's not consistent. This is consistent, though. Jeez. Does that mean I should, literally multiply this? No, that doesn't make any sense. Hold on, I'm having a brain freeze. Yeah, let's just play it. 5d6 plus 2 is the damage that it would deal. So that's 35. Let's just stick to the program and see if it works before we start making snap decisions and judgments. This is going to be 1d6 plus 2. 1d6 times 10 plus 2. That's going to be... yeah, 1d6 times 10 plus 2. This should not be 35. This would be 15, 16, 17, 18, 20. Sorry, 20 damage here. And this is going to be... 32 damage is 1d6 times 10 plus 2. And then we have the kicker effects, which is going to be 5d10 plus 2. So that's going to be 25, 32. 32 damage here. This is going to be plus... D10 times 2, D10 times 10 plus 2. 1d10 times 10 plus 2. So that's going to be 52 damage. And on our table over here, so combined damage, we can't use the hit points because the hit points just go off the scale, so that's not useful. But the hit points are important because the hit points actually track with your characters on board the ship. And the ship itself basically becomes temporary hit points, or you can either use kind of like when you're riding a horse, they have the horseman feat or the combat rider, trained rider, or whatever it's called. But you can take damage for your horse instead of it taking damage. So ships are the same way. Ships have their own hit point supply, and when the ship gets hit with an attack, you can use your hit points instead of letting the ship take the hit, or you can. You don't have to take any damage if you don't want to. But once you get into double digits, like third tier of play, second tier of play, you're going to... Yeah, that'd be third tier according to me. 9 plus, like 1, 5, 9, 13, 17. There's actually 5 tiers of playing D&D, not 4. It's a misnomer. There's actually 5 tiers. So in the 3rd tier of play after 9th level, your character is going to have enough hit points and healing capacity aboard the ship to be able to actually keep the ship from being destroyed by siege weapons. You'll be able to absorb more of that, like a barbarian pilot with rage active, getting hit with a bombard could take all the damage for the ship and then divide that by half. And if you're 12th level, you're probably fine. So, especially if you have a cleric with warding bond up or bonding ward. Thank you. No, warding bond. Thank you. Up, where you would then take half damage again, and the cleric would take half of that damage taken, and then split it in half, and then also has resistance to that damage. So you can basically quarter the damage. Like if a trebuchet does 80 points of damage to your ship, and your 13th level barbarian decides to tank all of that damage for the ship, and you have warding bond on your characters with the cleric, you're going to end up only taking 20 points of damage. You and the cleric, each only taking 20 points of damage. If that 13th level cleric happens to be a Twilight cleric, you get 13 temporary hit points back in combat every round. So you can take a full trebuchet hit like that and effectively reduce the damage down to 7 hit points, assuming you don't take more than 1 hit. But with that 1 hit, you can reduce that damage down to 7 hit points, which means if I hit you with a second or a third a hit, that turn is going to end up being an extra 20 or 30 damage, 20 or 40 damage to you guys. And that actually becomes a significant threat. You're probably going to want your ship to take some of that damage. Between your hit point pool and your ship and your level of ability and ability to mitigate damage, a team can keep a ship together during combat as effectively as you can work together as a unit to defeat a boss monster at the 5-foot scale. It's actually really fun. But now that we're introducing this mecha concept, we're getting these, every character is going to be operating their own fighter craft. So taking 70 points of damage from a Grick bite and claw attack, that's, if you have a 400-foot Starmoth, a 200-foot Starmoth, that's like 70 out of 400 hit points. So this 500-foot grip grabbing hold of and constricting your Starmoth in wild space, you can survive like 8 or 9 of those hits between the bite and the tentacle. It gets 2 per round. So you can basically last 4 rounds against a Grick before it could potentially destroy your ship if your team doesn't do anything to mitigate the damage for it, while you're using all of your siege weapons to blap stones off of its beak and to fire ballista bolts into it, and obviously launch lightning bolts and stuff like that. But siege weapons are more effective at these larger scales than your little spells are. But unless they're AoE, but they still don't do a lot of damage. But I digress. So now we're figuring out, we got 52 hit point, we got 52 damage here for our CR. That's going to put us at CR 8. Which is 6 steps. And up here with 84 damage, that's going to put us at CR 13, which is another 5, so that's 11 steps. That's 2 steps, 4 steps. It's a 2-step. 2-step, 4-step, 8-step. This one over here is 13 steps, 10 steps, 11 steps. This is large. This is small. This is medium. We need more things at higher CR. So let's do a Displacer Beast. Five-foot scale. Displacer Beast. 50-foot scale. And Displacer Beast. 500-foot scale. CR, HP, damage. Let's go. This will be the last one I do for now, but I'm going to have to spend time going through a lot of these monsters to see how this damage scales. Like, I suspect we're going to find a consensus that over here it's going to be 10 to 13 steps. It's probably going to be like increase the CR by 12 at the 500-foot scale. Increase the scale by, maybe it's going to be like 4 steps. On average, it'll end up being 4 steps. So like at the 50-foot scale, the CR is increased by 4. The CR at 500 feet is increased by 12, maybe. I'm going to have to probably dig through about 50 or 100 of these to be able to figure that out. And I don't think that's going to be very entertaining to you guys. So I just wanted to do this a few times just to see if we saw any initial patterns. And then we'll move on to another part of the document, just fuck around with some other stuff. I'll probably go back up to the character options. But for now, let's play with the Displacer Beast. Oh, it's large. Very good. Displacer Beast is CR 3. 2 by 2. Hit points are 76, which is 9d10 plus 27. Thank you. And its damage. Multi-attack. Makes 1 rend and 1 tentacle. So rend is 9. 1d10 plus 4. Plus tentacle is 11. 2d6 plus 4. So that's 20 damage. Does that jive? Does 20 damage jive with CR3? Yeah, it about jives. All right, so CR, don't know, 2 by 2. Hit points is going to be 276. 200 plus 90, 10 plus 27. Damage is going to be, at the 50-foot scale, it's 5dx. So 5d10 plus 4. That ends up being 34. And it gets plus 2d6. Uh, 22. 5d. Uh, 6 plus 4. CR, don't know, 2 by 2. That's going to be 2,076 hit points. 2,000 plus 90, 10 plus 27. The damage is going to be at the 500-foot scale times 2. It's going to be 2d10 times 10 plus 4 plus 2d6 times 10 plus 4. That's going to be 2d10. That's going to be 10, 11, 100, 114 damage. And this is going to be 2d6 times 10. That's going to be 70, 74. So that's going to be a total of 188 damage that this deals. And this is going to be 56. So 56 is here at CR8. And up here with 188 damage. That's going to be CR23. That's going to be 20 steps. this is going to be 5 steps. Ooh, man. This isn't easy. That damage gets crazy. That's where that's popping off at. CR 13. Hmm. $168. Hold on. Oh no, that's both attacks, but he only gets one of them. That's why he's so much lower than that. It's because the Displacer gets 2. No, the Grick got 2 attacks, but the Grick was only medium sized. I'm wondering if 13, 10, 4, 2. What if this was 3 times, 8 times. This is 4 times, 6 times. That's half, no, quarter, half, 1, 2. So that's roughly 4 times. And 8 times. 7 times, 8 times, 8 times, 8 times, 2 times, 4 times, 4 times, 3 times. I wonder if it's increased the CR times 4 at the 50-foot scale and then increased the CR by 8 at the 500-foot scale. It could be that simple. Four times, 3 times, 3 times, maybe 3 times, 8 times. I'm gonna have to run these more, but I think when we get into large numbers, I bet it's going to end up boiling down to something like triple the CR for 50, and then 8 times for 500-foot scale. That's actually that would be very, very simple. It'll be incredibly ballparky, very, very ballparkish. But that's assuming this would be assuming your characters aren't in ships. If you are fighting a 50-foot Grick and you're in 50-foot scale fighter craft, then that Grick isn't acting as a CR8 creature; it's acting as a CR2 creature. If you're in 500-foot, if you're in a crew of ship with a 500-foot scale, like a hammerhead ship or a squid ship, where all of your characters can dump their action economy into attacking the Grick at the same time. It's not CR 13, it's CR 2. It only has 54 hit points. At this scale, it has 1,054 hit points. But still, if you're like hitting it with Trebuchet for 40, catapult for 20, for 30 each, that's 100 points of damage with 3 weapons that your 13th level character could potentially take on. Now, maybe I just leave them with the CR that they're at if they're monsters. Generally, if you're on a ship, the highest, the CR of the crew that's piloting, that's commanding, that's on board the enemy ships that you're fighting, is the CR that when it's ship-to-ship combat, the CR is your character levels are normal, and the crew of that opposing ship or ships is also equal to their CR value, because the ships wash. When you're dealing with spelljamming ships in general, if it's ship versus ship, you ignore the ships, and it's the crew versus crew that you're getting your CR for. But when you're dealing with ships versus a single monster, that should probably actually calculate into what you're doing. So it wouldn't be at the 500-foot scale. A Grick is worth a CR2 for your 14th level characters, or your 5th level characters each in their own 250-foot squid ship. It would still be a CR13, just like fighting an Eldritch Horror. CR22 is still a CR22. So I think this actually maths out. So if you're a crew aboard a ship, you just use the CR of the crew, of the combined crew. If you are fighting a single monster, you're going to use whatever the scaling CR is. And I bet I'm pretty sure it's going to come in at, to make it simple, it'll either be ×3, ×9, or ×4, ×8, I suspect. One or the other. Take your base CR and then scale it accordingly. But I don't think I want to bore you guys with unless someone is specifically requesting me to look at a specific creature, I will move on and just play it in another section. But yeah, you could probably do this yourself. It's such an easy pattern. But isn't that the good thing about good mechanics, is that it has a replicatable pattern that you can identify so that you can do the thing yourself, which is why these monster building guides are so useful from the 2014 DMG, because it's creating a pattern, a template, a pattern that you can refer to, not pattern as in like recurring pattern, but like a blueprint for what the CR of creatures are supposed to be in the 2014 game. They got rid of that in the 2024 game, maybe because they were working off of feels a lot. But even then, there's probably some sort of underlying base mechanic that can be found and extracted. And that's what a lot of my work is finding these patterns, extracting them, and then being able to rebuild them at different scales or different magnitudes. So, so let's go ahead and just let this sit for now. But I'm going to probably end up doing a lot of these. So if you want to keep an eye out, again, if you want to check out these documents, these things are, hey people, are linked down here. Here's the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration book itself. This is the Kaiju and Constructs work that I'm literally working in right now. It's read-only for now, but it'll also be on the DMsGUild when it's done. It'll be 100% preview like everything else that I do here. So here's the book. Check it out. And so let's get back to the work at hand. How long have I been doing this? An hour and a half already. Holy Hannah. Okay, we'll see if there's anything else in the document here that grabs my attention real quick. Again, I do artwork Monday through Fridays in the morning. I always do live streams for whatever book I'm working on publishing next. In this case, we're working on the Eberron adventure, Crystals of Mabar. We're very close to having that done, probably in December. We'll probably have it finished in December. Yeah, we're getting really, really close with that book. And once that's done, we can pull these Spelljammer books forward and start doing artwork for them, like for the Spelljammer subclasses that's linked down below. We'll probably start building that out and making a book out of that. But we also have the Bastion campaign system to do. I want to playtest both that and this Kaiju Constructs in that XCOM 2 style Storm King's Thunder campaign. We're probably going to start work on that, like the mechanics of that campaign. We're probably going to start building that Thursday later on this week. So if you want to see me take these and build a campaign that I'm going to run as a DM on my Discord link down below, you're welcome to show up and participate. It can be ran as a West March campaign. I would love to have a dedicated team of 4 people. But playtesting on Saturdays could be difficult, so I don't assume that we're going to have a lot of people. but that's the best time for me to run the game. So that's when I try to organize it. But we'll probably start at 5th level and work our way maybe up to 15th. We'll see if we can go that long on doing episodic adventures. We'll see, but we're going to build out all the mechanics of how the campaign works here on stream starting Thursday. And then, again, you can watch me doing artwork for the books that I create. Yeah, all the artwork in these books, this is all art that I do. I started off as an artist, did freelance work for a while, and then came to the realization that with the OGL license, I could make my own books and pay myself to be an artist. So instead of seeking commissions from somebody that will tell me what I need to illustrate, I can build my own books and tell myself what I want to illustrate, so I can make the books the way that I want them to be made, exactly the way I want to make them. Have everything work the way that I want. So it's all a single, pardon the pun, a single vision. So that's my goal. That's what I want to do. So we're doing that with Spelljammer stuff right now. So let's just Spelljammer Kaiju and Constructs for use of Spelljammer Combat Exploration, which is on the DMsGUild. Here. Cover, intro, table of contents, character options, body frames, fighting style, fantasy machines. We'll go with constructs. Golems, titans, materials, property statistics, helms, and power gear. Most of this stuff we're just lifting out of the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration book. Let's click on the materials here. Building ships, right? So these are how you build ships. These are all the rules for building ships. Hit points based on size. Material gives you damage resistance and armor class and ability bonuses. Damage reduction from the material. The size is the weight of your vessel, depending on the type of material that it's made out of. Light materials like light wood and ceramics. Heavy materials like stone and metal. Composite is generally a combination of both light and heavy materials like wood and metal. That's what a ship's probably going to be made out of. So that would be considered a composite material, which could also be things like chitin. Like for a like an illithid nautiloid would be composite material because it's made out of a chitinous material, like a fleshy substance. So the weight is based on the weight of the weight of it, and however much your ship weighs plus your cargo is however much your ship weighs is going to like the material can carry so much weight. It's basically 10 tons per 5 feet of space that a vessel, which is over 50 feet in size, has. It can carry 10 tons of material. Subtract the weight from the carrying capacity, and that tells you how much cargo space is left over to load up that ship with weight of cargo. And then you have your towing capacity is your weight times your weight plus your weight again. So like per 5 feet, it's 18 tons because it's 10 tons times 2 is 20 tons minus its weight, and it would also be minus its cargo. So whatever your weight and cargo is in your carrying capacity, that reduces your overall towing weight. So these Warforged, these constructs can carry things and carry basically their own weight. Craft are less abundant, 1,000 pounds versus 10 tons. And we have all the stats for the pre-generated ships and traversing terrain, like moving around, blah, blah, blah. So, so most of the mechanics that we need for, the materials, the properties, the statistics, those rules already exist as fightercraft. Helms and power gear, the helms already exist, basic helm, landcraft helm, watercraft helm, airship helm, spelljammer helms. I think we have price tags for these things all down in here. Pre-generated vehicles, war golems, pre-generated constructs. So we'll call war golems at the 50-foot scale. and War Titans at the 500-foot scale. Or rather, up to 50 feet in size, and War Titans are up to 500 feet in size. And of course, Kaiju can be multiple 500-foot squares. It'd be like your 5-foot character in a 500-foot square with a massive construct fighting an ogre kaiju. Ogre kaiju, which is 1,000 feet in size, a 2x2 space at the 500-foot scale. There you go. Infernal War Machines, Elemental Airships, Spelljammer Fighter Craft. Combat and Exploration. Yeah, I'm almost done. Vehicles Combat, Scaling Time. We have that already. These are all things that exist inside the mechanics of the Spelljammer book already, but we're going to republish them here for completion. But we also give you an entire free preview, so I don't feel bad about duplicating some pages of my own work to make the thing go. Ramming, opportunity attacks, pilot actions. Since all we have is a pilot in these Warforged, we don't need more than the pilot action roll. So object interaction is your basic movement of 5 squares, depending on the scale of movement. Actions we have a whole list of the actions that you can take. If we go to the table of contents here, and we can go down here to ship rolls. Here's your pilot rolls. Moving the ship as an object interaction. You can attack, defend, disengage, hide, move the ship, like a dash action, and then take the ready action. Make attacks, ship melee attacks as either actions or bonus actions. And then as a Warforged or as a Titan or a War Golem, your attacks, you would have all these physical attacks, like with massive sized swords and shit, as usual. But you would also have the ability to have thrown weapons like 30-foot javelins, for instance, and stuff like that. That would all operate as well. So those all still apply. Deception, intimidation, and persuasion checks, perception and investigation, stealth, acrobatics, and athletics. Basically looking at how golems and titans can operate these tools that they can operate with. Hazards and obstacles that can, like what kind of difficult terrain would a titan have to overcome. Spellcasting, we have a lot of these mechanics already exist inside of the Spelljammer book that we're republishing and reframing them. So, and I'm sorry guys, there's something that's popping up that is grabbing my attention that I need to address. So, and I've been at it for about an hour and a half or so. I think this is probably going to be a decent time for us to stop. So maybe we'll come back and we'll revisit the docents and the Warforged body frames, and look at the fighting style and how the golems are built. We'll come back and we'll do that on Thursday maybe, and we'll spend some time on Thursday starting in on the campaign, and maybe we'll come back and we'll do some more of this on stream. But for the next few weeks, I suspect we're going to be working with the Kaiju and Constructs and the campaign that we're building to playtest it. So if you think this stuff is cool, I'm going to go ahead and bounce for now. I'm typically on for about 2 hours on Mondays and Thursday nights like this, and then for about an hour and a half in the morning doing artwork. So if you have questions, the artwork is a great place to ask questions because I can talk about stuff and paint at the same time. So that's a good time to ask me questions. You're welcome to join my Discord channel down below to ask questions as well. I'm going to go ahead and cut out of here for tonight. And thanks a lot, everybody, for hanging out with me. I really appreciate you guys. If anyone was willing to like and subscribe to help get me towards 1,000 subscribers, bless you. I really appreciate it. Please do check out my books. And be welcome to join my Discord server if you have any questions. And yeah, I got to go ahead and cut out of here for the time. Sorry, guys. I got to cut out. So I will be back Thursday night. I'll be back tomorrow morning. And I'll see you guys then. Thanks a lot.